Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and you are now listening to another episode of the world famous University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best podcast. We kicking it. You know what? I'm gonna look at you right now. This is we streaming videos these days. I'm looking. Hold on. I'm looking directly at you. This is the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Okay, we kick anybody's ass. Okay. Any podcast, okay? Please. We just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. We gotta get this budget up. This is the only thing that's slowing us down, okay? Gotta get the budget up. Other than that, please. We need to talk more about race bait. That's it. We need to talk more about, we need to talk more race bait. That's what we need to do. Or we need to talk more. We need to talk how women are trash or something like that. Women are trash. Men are scum. No, we need to talk about that. That's what we got to do. We got to get off this marketing stuff. And we got to get to the juicy stuff, okay? And this is all entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, you ain't going to learn nothing on this show today, okay? We here for likes. We not even here for likes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a little agitated today. I was thinking to myself, I said, I'm I am a person. I like to go from A to Z, And I know sometimes you got to go around the corner, around the curve. I get all that, but a lot of times this social media stuff and trying to, you gotta do the dance, and you gotta do that dance, and it gets so old so quick. I get sick of it. I was on LinkedIn, and I asked one simple question. I said, hey, trying to get from A to Z, trying to go from A to Z. You want, because we're doing freelance copywriting, and so we want customers, we want clients, and we are just trying to go from A to Z, and we're just trying to seek out clients. But then when you go on LinkedIn all the time, it's always somebody, trying to tell you, oh, the best way to do this and the best way to do that, and the will, and they're like whispering, but it's all aggravating, and it's agitating. And it's like, listen, man, I'm just trying to meet clients, meet people who want my services, who are going to, pay me, and I do the, the email writing, the blog post writing. They pay me, and I can go on about my life. I don't need all this other around the world crap, And so I wrote a post on LinkedIn, and I said, hey, blah, 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 blah. And of course, sure enough, somebody, hey, I'd like to work with you. And then they not asking any questions. It's the time. I'm like, didn't I just write on the post about this? People are aggravating, okay? It's aggravating. You might be aggravating. People are aggravating. YouTube's aggravating. Twitter's aggravating. LinkedIn. All the social media stuff is aggravating. Podcasting, that's aggravating. It's all aggravating. It's all annoying, because it's like, oh, the algorithm this and the algorithm that, Then you go on I went on TikTok, and they're like, hey, I'm trying to get views because I'm trying to feed my family. I'm like, what the f are you talking about, man? What is going on these days? I know everybody. I know it, and you know it, that content creation rules the nation. Okay, and you got to do what you got to do, and I get it because with the way they're the terrorists and the jobs and like trucking, for example, like all that stuff is getting, and they're trying to bring robots in. They're trying to make more things automated. I get it. They're closing lanes, and there are lanes that are open, and you got to do what you got to do. You gotta make a living. But man, it is aggravating, and it's like, you gotta lift yourself up, and you really gotta stand out, and you gotta find something. It's just more than just standing there looking cute. And this is what we're going to get into today. It's more than just standing there looking cute and being like, somebody pick me. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss OnlyFans. Now, I had a family member, a friend. I don't want to out the man out, but I knew a guy. How about that? I knew a guy at one point in our lives. He was big on the Instagram. I mean, he loved Instagram. He loved it. He would be on there checking out women, sending me pictures, just doing the most. And I was like, hey, man, what's going on with you? And he like, man, I like them until they get an OnlyFans, and I'm like, man, what's OnlyFans? And he like, OnlyFans is where they go and they like show they show other kind of pictures, nude pictures or whatever, or half nude or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. I'm like, who would pay for that? Because, ladies and gents, I'm from a different time. It's just the way it is, okay? I live in this world and it's great and all that. The new technology is wonderful, but from a time where I was 21, you barely was on the internet. You wouldn't even know. You didn't have to be on the internet. How about that? You did not have to be on the internet when I was 21 in 2000. You did not have to be on the internet, okay? Now you don't have to be on the internet, but it don't hurt you not to be on the internet in this day and time. My cousin, the guy I knew, he was always on the pictures, and I'm like, this is the enticement, the picture on Instagram, hey, you want to see more of my content, follow me, ... So it's a process. So they get a big following, or and then they're like, hey, go to OnlyFans. But then, ladies and gentlemen, what happens after that? There's a shelf life to there's a shelf life. Beauty, sex, beauty, there's a shelf life to that, and there's a window, because no offense, men, or if you're going to be on OnlyFans and you think a lot of men are going to look at you, and then you go drifting into your 40s and your 50s. Listen, I'm sure you're beautiful. I'm sure you look nice. They're going to be, and I know there are going to be less and less guys checking you out. Let's say a 21-year-old. The one young lady I saw on Dr. Phil one time, and I happened to be watching Dr. Phil live, okay? And I saw this. It was, what's her name now? Bad Barbie. Catch Me Outside, young lady. She said she went on OnlyFans for one day. She was like 18. She made $1 million. So men are creeps, okay? And they want to look at younger women. And so for you, the woman that is, 20s, in your 20s and your 30s, what do you do if you've been on OnlyFans for a long time? You gotta get into the email marketing. You gotta get into you gotta start building a email list. You need to build an email list. Why do you need to build an email list? Because that way you can have a real connection with your audience. You want as much of a connection with your audience as you possibly can. You don't want to wait until the ship be sinking. Then you're like, ooh, I need to sell them a calendar. Or, ooh, I need to sell them. No, if you already prepared, when you're when your God-given looks, start to crack a little bit. Listen, I know they got surgery now, but surgery makes people look super crazy. Okay, you don't want to be like the what's those twins? My wife and I, we used to watch a 90 Day Fiance. We used to watch a 90 Day Fiance, and then there was these twins. And now every now and then my wife would send me a picture, and they have more surgery and they look terrible. Okay, and I know they're older than me. I'm 46, so I'm sure they're probably like 50 something. They might not be 50 something, but they look 50 something. Okay, the surgery is just bad. And so, with the OnlyFans model, I get it. You go on Instagram, you take some pictures, you get a following, you get the BBL or whatever, maybe not, but you go to OnlyFans, you make some money, you save some money. But what are you gonna do after that? A lot of times, a lot of people, maybe it might be one girl out of 10 who's fiscally, sound, and like, hey, I'm saving money, or I'm buying this, or I'm buying that. But even if you want to keep the business going, build a big email list and email the people every day. Email them every day or every week, but email them often. Don't do the Beyonce. Whenever you about to go on tour, you start emailing your fans. But Beyonce, she the only one that can get away with that, okay? She can email people and they run to the concert and they give her money. If only we all had the power of Beyonce to do that, okay? I wish I had that power. Right now I do not. We're gonna work on that. I gotta get music. I told my friend we gotta make songs, because apparently that's the move. We gotta make songs. So I'm gonna come up with some songs. I'm gonna download them on YouTube. I need you to like all the songs, and then we're gonna start doing concerts. Okay, we need that concert money. But anyway, back to the OnlyFans. The OnlyFans women, they need to start an email list. Create an email list. Build build a brand that way. Build a direct, build a list where you can send people calendars. You can send people keychains. You can send people posters. You can send people whatever. You can start a little podcast. You can be on, in those little videos, those little fake videos people make. You can do that. There's so many ways that they can generate money. You do not have to just sit there and when the time comes and the clock strikes 12 and the beauty starts to fade. Now listen, I mean no disrespect, but listen, come on now. Let's not be naive. 25 is the difference in a 25-year-old woman looks wise and a 35-year-old woman. 35-year-old woman and a 45-year-old woman. I'm not saying you're not beautiful, but to try to, say, hey, you ain't gonna be able to charge the same, okay? But why do you even want to keep, if it's 10 years later, do you still want to take the same type of picture? Or do you want to create a business that you can have, that you don't have to be, really in front of the camera all the time? You can start doing the posters, you can start selling the cookbooks, you can start doing whatever. There's so many things you can do, but create an email list so you can always have a group of people. You're always going to have fans. People are going to be like, hey, I love you, blah, 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 blah. You always have that group of people. Now, there's an article that I read once, and they talked about if you have 10,000 fans, you got a career, okay? 10,000 fans, 10,000 loyal fans, I should say, and you got a career. You can always make money. You can always come back to the email list. The email list is one of the most important things that you can have because you can control that. OnlyFans might decide to kick you off one day. They might be like, you know what? We tired of you. You making too much money. Goodbye. OnlyFans can kick you off. YouTube can kick you off. Facebook can kick you off. Instagram, all of them can kick you off. Any social media. Twitch can kick you off. Do gaming. Do Twitch. But build that. Make sure you are building that email list. Okay. Make sure you're a girl, a guy, getting naked online, doing porn online. God bless you. You do that, all that. But what I'm telling you is build an email list, okay? Don't just listen. Anybody can follow any jackleg or follow you because you're on Instagram. It's free, okay? There's no skin in the game. The best thing is to get somebody to go from being on Instagram, marching them to OnlyFans. That's great. Also, getting them on your email list and selling products and services to them. Okay, that's what you want to do. That is the goal. The goal is to keep the money generating because listen, when you're 40, when you're 45, and you've been doing OnlyFans for 20 years, listen, don't think you're going to get a millionaire husband. Okay, cut that out. Become your own millionaire. We talk about so much women's liberation, women's rights, and women working, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you are going to be a sex worker, there's a shelf life to that. I don't recommend it, me personally, but it is what it is. Create an email list, or get on TV as like Joy Taylor. I saw Joy Taylor. She said they should make prostitution legal. They should definitely be taxing strippers. They should be taxing you OnlyFans people. If you're on OnlyFans, they need to be taxing y'all. Okay, I might be hating, whatever. We need to tax everybody. Okay, but the point of this whole episode is to create an email list. If you get, because you're gonna have 300,000 followers on Instagram, and a certain amount are gonna go to OnlyFans. But if you can get those 300,000 people on the email list, they might just buy keychains. They might buy products from you. You never know. But the more people that the people that if you have an email list, you can always. There's so much you can do with the email list. You can always have something to sell, affiliate links, this, that, and the other. There's no stopping you because you can always have money coming in. Let's say you get sick or let's say something happens to you and you can't take pictures or you can't perform or you can't do whatever. You have that email list, okay? You always have something to back yourself up. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just don't be an OnlyFans model. And plus, OnlyFans can always kick you off. When they get tired of you, they'll get rid of you. So don't fall prey to that, okay? Build you an email list. Build you a real email list. And email these people and sell them products, sell them services, not those kind of services. Sell, have something that you can back it up, not just showing your hips and your butt or whatever. Okay, so I am here to help. So listen, if you are a person that needs help writing emails, contact me. You can always contact me, Tony@TonyResano.com. I write great emails. I have an email list that I'm building up on a daily basis. If you want to be a part of my email list, click on the link below and sign up and become a part of this email list. And you will see the emails that we send every single day, and we write them every single day. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We'll be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Zano. Thank you for listening. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, baby, peace.